Alright, we're back with a little more work on the Doggy Dan site here, the online dog trainer. I was going through some of this last night with my wife, and she basically was in charge of a lot of the training for our dog when we first brought him home, because I knew that she really had to get control of him. I didn't think he'd have any issues seeing me as a pack leader, but I thought he might have some issues with her, and I was on the money with that. So we were going through some things, because she kind of said to me, well, you know, it's too late, we've already got the dog, he's almost 3, but we went through some of this stuff that would help her exert even some more control over the dog and then the kids. So I want to go over the 5 golden rules, because I talked about this and wrote about this being so important. So here we go. First, you get the introduction, why to become a pack leader. It's a pretty good overview of what Dan believes and why you need to get this done, and the importance of it. And he actually goes through a pretty nice chalkboard presentation here and draws it out to make it very, very easy to understand. And the thing I like about Dan too is he puts everything into real life scenarios, and he talks about doing how it equates to real life and to people, not only dogs, and I think that's pretty good. So after this short introduction, you basically get into rule number 1, which is controlling the food. And again, I wrote about this, and I didn't understand exactly the way this worked. My thought was, and I was told by our trainer, our third trainer, to let everybody feed the dog so that the dog knew that we were all in control of the food, and that is an important thing. But Dan goes way further into how to get this done. And even after now 3 years, I've been using some of Dan's techniques with my dog Riley, and he's actually responding to them. And I thought he was doing pretty good until I started using these, and I can see getting even a little more control over the dog. So this is a pretty important rule for me, and something that needs to be learned. And even if your dog is older, you can start doing some of the things that Dan teaches. And what I like is, here's a dog. It's not his dog. He's in someone's home, and doing some work with this dog. And then he goes into aggressive. If your dog is aggressive around food. Now, our dog was really bad to the point where you couldn't even walk near him, and we thought we might actually have to get rid of him because of that. But we managed to get through that on our own. This again would have helped me out immensely with this. And then of course, if you have more than one dog, which I always had a couple of dogs, I only have one now, but I always had 2 dogs as we used to breed Labrador retrievers. And here's another important factor in this: the pack leader controls the bones. I always just gave my dogs their chewies and things like that, and didn't think anything about it. But there is definitely a way to do this correctly, which I never really knew. And finishes up with some questions, FAQs about food, and what people have sent in, I guess, to ask him things, and he's answering them on the cuff there, which I think is pretty good. Then he goes on to rule number 2, which is danger. Danger to us is, of course, a burglar or someone breaking into our house or hurting our family. But to a dog, it could be a leaf falling on a tree, and from a tree. And I know that with our dog, we had those issues quite a bit. He was just every bird that landed on the front lawn. And sit down, Riley. Excuse me, Riley just came in to visit. I guess he heard me saying his name. Anything like a leaf on a tree, he was going berserk, and it just went from there to everything. And what I realize now after going through this, that the dog sees that as danger, and I just started implementing some of these things that Dan has taught, and it's already beginning to help, because he's still a little crazy when people walk by the house or something out of the ordinary, or any little noise occurs. I happen to live in a rural area. We have a lot of hunters, and if there's a gunshot 5 miles away, he just goes ballistic. So I like what they did here is, again, put this into play. There's another dog in this picture you can't see, and basically Dan he has 3 of his dogs in the back of his truck, and this dog perceives that, of course, as danger and starts to go a little crazy. and he teaches the dog very quickly that it's okay. And you can see it in action, which I really, really like about this program. And then rule number 3 is a big one, separation. You know, when you come home, you know, your dog is going ballistic because you walk in the door and you really think, well, he's happy to see me. Well, it's not really the case. I mean, he is happy to see you, or she is happy to see you, but it has more to do with the fact that you've been separated from the dog for a little while, and there are certain ways to take care of this. I've always known about, you know, kind of ignoring the dog for a few minutes, not realizing actually that it went back to, you know, the golden rules. It's just something that I don't know where I learned that, and I do it a lot when I'm out in the field and I'm working. I own a cleaning business, so I'm in a lot of homes, and I always ignore the dogs when I go into the house, and some of the owners don't like it, but it gives me a little control over the animals. But this goes beyond it. It taught me some things that I didn't know about that. And again, takes this little dog here, and who just goes nuts when he comes in, and I guess they're having a lot of problems with this animal, and it takes him quite a while. He doesn't. I don't think he films the whole thing, but it took quite a long time to get this dog to calm down. And then they go into this about showing how pack leaders ignore other dogs in the beginning, and he takes again his 3 dogs and goes to a home and lets them in the yard with a younger dog, and you can actually see this in action. It was a pretty interesting video for me to see how these dogs reacted to this 3rd dog, and how they came into the yard like they owned the place and didn't have anything to do with this younger dog until the dog realized, okay, I'm the low man here on the totem pole. And as soon as these 3 dogs realized that, they allowed him to start his shenanigans and play. Very interesting video. I've never seen that done live, and I've read about it, but to show it was pretty good. And rule number 4 is everything on your terms, which is pretty good because, you know, the pack leader decides when everything happens. Not eating, playing, you know, again, you know, respecting your space, you know, relaxing, you know, coming when called and whatnot. And that basically is, you know, what a pack leader would do in the wild. If a dog is bothering the pack leader, it's unacceptable, and they just won't do it. And I mentioned also, too, there's also audio down here, you know, that you can listen to, just the audio. And I don't know if you can download it, which would be kind of neat to listen to in the car. And then, number 5, and this is the final golden rule, with bills on everything, is the walk. We still have a little trouble with our dog on the walk. He's 85% better, but that 15% is a little bit rough. So this is something I'm working on right now. You know, calming him down before you take him out. You know, get him calm inside the house, and then I like this outside the house. You know, getting the dog to go for a walk, and he goes through actually, you know, 3 parts on the actual walk and what to do and how to do it. And I'm actually going over this 2 or 3 times myself to put some of those in there. And then the structured walk, you know, when should I allow my dog to sniff and pee? You know, mine's a male, and boy, he'll sniff a blade of grass for 10 minutes if I let him. So I just wanted to go over this again, the basic rules of Doggy Dan, the golden rules, the 5 of them, what they are and why they're so important, and why they've actually changed the way I think about my dog and my dog's training even after 3 years. And my girls are bugging me to get a puppy, and I've been hesitant to get one. We've always had 2 dogs because they seem to really keep each other busy, but I'm reconsidering the fact that maybe we will get another dog, and because they just seem to have so much fun together. But I've really been worried about my boy Riley and his behavior. But I think we're on our way to getting another dog. So thank you, and again, I'll put a link below this video where you can pop over the dog training website that I have and get some more tips and tricks and read a little bit more about Doggy Dan. Good luck with your dog.